AITA because I don't want to share my Irish culture with my American classmates. My 16F family and I recently moved from Dublin, Ireland, to a small town in the south of the United States, a real Bible Belt town where it seems they don't get a lot of foreigners like myself and my family. I recently joined the local high school as a sophomore, or 10th grade. It's been a bit of a learning experience and I'm trying to navigate the difference between here and home. To be honest, it was not my idea to move to America, but my parents both have jobs that gave them better opportunities than Dublin was offering and they decided to move out here. I don't like it here. My classmates keep making this big to-do about my fucking accent, asking me stupid shit like, have you ever seen a leper urchin? Do you all live in little stone cottages and wear buckle shoes? Things like that, stereotypes of life in Ireland. Quite a few have asked me to quote the Lucky Charms bastard or that character from Austin Powers. It doesn't help that I look like an Irish stereotype. I've got red hair and pale skin and freckles and a thick accent. It's also annoying. I don't like it here and I miss Ireland, miss my family, my nan and my cousins and all my friends. I had so many friends and now we're living in America. We're all finding it hard to continue being friends because Ireland is hours ahead of where we live and it's hard to maintain friendships over Insta and Facebook and all. The school I'm attending has started having the physical classroom. One of my history classes this year has a focus on other cultures than just American, so we study different countries. My teacher didn't wait long to ask me to share about life in the faraway land of Ireland. Thing is, I don't want to be some fucking show pony for these people. My culture, my country, is not some display to be touted out like this. We're real people, we have real lives. We're not stuck in the 1700s farming sheep and shit. We have cities and internet and health care. We're a fully evolved society. It isn't my job to teach her class. Of course, I'm now seen as some kind of antisocial bully because I told the teacher plainly that I would not agree to her request. Now the school wants to have a sit down with my parents and me because they have concerns about my well-being. We have a student who moved here 3 years ago from Mexico, but she didn't ask him to participate. Am I really such an asshole because I don't want to be used as some kind of performance monkey because I'm from a different country? NTA, but if you want to mess with them a little, this is where you go r/malicious compliance and lean into the things that are exactly the same. In Ireland we have this place where we get fries called McDonald's. In Ireland we use these vehicles called cars for transport. All of those are part of a culture to emo, and it will avoid you having to be a show pony while complying with your teacher's request and showing your classmates you're not so different from them. Bonus points if you get the Mexican classmate to do the same thing. I wish you luck. People stereotyping your home country, whether in a good or bad light, must be the most annoying thing about being an expat. A fellow expat. Edited for judgment. Or do a whole presentation on alcohol and the different ones you've had. Your teacher will flip his shit. Nah. Hello, fellow Irish person here. I get it, man. I've even adopted an American twang which I don't mind as much, but I get it. Constant fascination and getting you to say things and read things and asking stupid questions. Never mind the fact they say they're Irish and it wasn't even their grandparents. But this is your time to show them what Ireland is really like and dispel their small worldview. They're uncultured and don't even realize it. Show them the city and it at night. Show them the colleges, the scientists. Look up some things we are leading in. I mean, we're one of the best places in the world to have a baby. Our infant mortality rates are some of the lowest in the world. Show them the environmental things we're doing. They want to see a green island, show them the green they should be seeing. And that translates into both languages. If they want a hybrid they can go to Galway and its quirks, but show the landscapes, the city, the infrastructure. The education is exceptional. Show them Ireland, but the real Ireland. You can say for tourists we have a leprechaun museum, but it's not really a thing, it's literally just to please Americans. But even things like the history of fairies and stuff, there are wonderful things you can give them to not ruin Ireland but highlight the good things. Be proud. It's annoying, but educate and show why you miss it. How wonderful it is. Heart. NTA, American teacher here. I am so sorry that this has been your experience. During the sit down, I recommend you tell the teacher/administrator exactly what you put here, that others have been unkind because of your heritage, and then apologize for being rude to the teacher. Bear with me. Tell her that when she asked you to participate, all that other stuff was going through your head, and you want to be seen by your classmates as more than just the Irish girl. Don't bring up the kid from Mexico. That isn't your goal here. Your goal is acceptance for who you are as a person, not to be seen as the foreigner. Good luck, and if you have any questions, feel free to send me a PM. AITA for kicking my brother-in-law out after he made my 10-month-old son spend the night in a stroller. Me M37 and my wife F30 have a 10-month-old son and recently started sleeping in his own room. We live in a small apartment. My wife works for a marketing company and it requires her to go on trips at least once a month. She invited her 27-year-old brother to stay with us for a few weeks since he lost his job and is incapable of paying rent. I didn't think it was a good idea since the place is small. She said he was okay with the couch and since he loves to spend time with his nephew then there shouldn't be any problems. Said okay and I helped him move his bags. My wife went on her business trip last week and it was just me, him, and my son in the apartment. He begged me to let his girlfriend come spend the night. I have my reasons to decline, since he talked about missing her and probably wanting to have sex. I said no, not on the couch. Period. I went to sleep leaving him talking on the phone. At nearly 3:45 I woke up to the sound of my son crying. It was close. I was confused. I walked out of the bedroom and saw my son in his stroller in the living room with his face covered in a blanket. I had no idea for how long he was there. I yelled my Bill's name and was very confused. I calmed my son down, then I went to his room. Suddenly my Bill stopped me from going in, saying his girlfriend was in there. I was livid. I asked what the hell she was doing there, but I already knew. Started berating him loudly for getting my son out of his room and leaving him in the living room, causing him to stress out. I told him to get out the room immediately. He begged me to let him and his girl stay inside till the morning, and take my son into my room. Kept arguing with him, and he and his girlfriend got out the room, and I made them wait till 7 AM to leave the apartment, and they did. He then called my wife basically saying that I kicked him out for suggesting that he bring his girlfriend over and take my son to sleep with me in the room while they have some privacy in his room, since I tend to use the bathroom and the kitchen at 4 AM. My wife thought I handled it wrong despite explaining, which led to an argument with her as well. The whole family, my in-laws, called me a jerk for kicking him out and treating him like that. They said it was no big deal and that I made a scene over nothing. But I couldn't help but feel mad at him and his girlfriend. Know that my wife's been gaslit by her family no matter how hard I explain I'm in the wrong, as they say. And that's because 1. My Bill told her another story and she believed him, since he and I tend to disagree most of the time, so she thought I was being unfair to him. And 2. Her family tried to downplay my anger and claimed I overreacted and gaslit my wife, making her think the same. NTA at all. He just displaced your son from his nursery so he could get laid. He needs to look at his life and his choices because, and I'm saying it again, he displaced an infant so that he could have sex in a nursery. This should be a wake-up call moment for him and for his girlfriend. I cannot even imagine my partner being like, let me move the baby out real quick and we can do it on the floor next to his crib. Like, what? Nadar. Please never let anyone who took your Bill's side after learning the whole story ever watch your son. Your Bill woke up your sleeping infant and moved him to a very unsafe sleeping arrangement without telling anyone, just so your Bill could have sex. You found your infant son crying with a blanket on his head. Really? How could you ever be the A? You do not have to allow his girlfriend over and nothing justifies what he did. Reading this has me so upset. Huge NTA. I can't believe your wife is on his side. I wouldn't have waited till the morning. I tell where to shove it there and then. Ask your wife what she would have done in that situation. I doubt the response would be oh well and left your son in the pram. Honestly shocked wife was all oh well. Op you 100% said son was asleep in his room when you went and then you woke up to him crying, in the LR, in a stroller with a blanket on his head and she wasn't upset? That Bill did not ask you to bring son into your room before he did this and you had said no to the GF coming over. I hope you are letting her know how unacceptable this is and unbelievable she's not backing you. NTA. NTA, but everyone else is, minus Fabio FC. Doesn't your wife not get that the baby could have died? The blanket was over his face, and if he wasn't screaming you wouldn't have found him. And what kind of people kicks a baby out of the baby's room? Exclamation mark. You really should question your wife's priorities, because she's prioritizing her brother and not the sweet innocent little boy that she brought into the world. And that's concerning. Good on you for kicking your brother-in-law out. And then Teresa's girlfriend who let her BF pick up a baby, take the baby and left it out in the living room in a stroller without telling anyone. Literally everyone sucks but up and baby. If I were you, I'd tell your wife that if she values her brother more than her own baby, you'll take the baby and stay elsewhere and her brother can go ahead and move back in. AITA for insisting a restaurant remake my order. I went out to a fancy burger place recently. Part of USP was that you could add things to your burger, like cheese or an extra patty. I order and make some alterations like the sauce and 2 extra patties because I was hungry and feeling greedy and the indulgent that day. It was a huge, decadent burger. However, this burger came by default with tomatoes. Now, I'm allergic to tomatoes. Nothing fatal but my face puffs up and I get a sore throat. This happens even if I eat something that tomatoes have touched, so removing them doesn't work. I expressly asked the waitress to not add tomatoes to my food, saying that I'm allergic. When the food comes, there are tomatoes in my burger. Due to the above reasons, I asked them to take it back and make a new one. The restaurant refused, saying that they'd used a lot of ingredients for my burger so they couldn't do me another without charging me for both. I say it's their fault because I'd specifically requested no tomatoes at time of order. They told me to just remove the slices myself, but I refused due to cross-contamination. And they refused to remake the burger. I put down enough for the drink I'd had and left the building. I thought I'd acted reasonably, but my girlfriend says that I should have paid for both because I could afford it and that a custom order would be expensive for the restaurant. I think that's insane, especially as I warned them about the tomatoes thing well in advance and that it was their fault I'd be paying for. NTA. I used to work at a fancy restaurant and we would remake $75 steaks when people simply didn't like the temp, not even half as serious as something like this where people are actually allergic. You can tell if a restaurant is worth eating at based on how it handles mistakes. If a restaurant won't replace a meal for allergies because they would have to eat the food cost of a $15 to $20 burger, what other corners are they cutting? Like, damn, that place is fucked. NTA. They gave you something you couldn't eat and didn't order. You told them and they did it anyway. You have them a chance to rectify the situation. They declined. You left. I think your girlfriend was embarrassed by the situation because she may not be comfortable with any kind of conflict. So she places the blame on you because you're a variable that she can influence. But her blame is misplaced and off the mark here. NTA. That's a huge liability for the restaurant to not take your food allergy seriously. NTA. If they allow alterations, let alone make it their USP, and you clearly ask for alterations and they get it wrong, you're justified in asking them to remake it. You wouldn't be the asshole even if it were just because you were fussy. If it's because of an allergy, and you made this clear to them, then you're absolutely NTA. I wouldn't trust them to actually remake it. After telling Op to just take off the tomatoes, they might do that and not remake it.